Going to football match in the middle of pandemic feels like an undergoing endurance test in a reality TV show. A pre-message instructs me to arrive at Hampden Park in Glasgow 3 hours before Scotland kick off against Czech Republic. I must wear a mask at all times. I must take in all food from my micro bag into a plastic bag provided by the stadium, and all the catering outlet will be shut. So no one see burgers or cartons of flat Pepsi to keep me going. When I when I really turn up to the stadium 3 hours early, the crowds are predictably sparse. The pub outside the ground overflowed with supporters wrapped in Scotland flag looked like a tempting alternative. But when I suggest to a steward that might go on, get a drink ahead of the game, a look of concern crosses her kindly face. Be careful, be careful which pub you're going to, she said. That was you coming. What is she referring to? Could it be the Dutch book bag A4 site that I'm clutching? I have given my spare ticket to a real Scot, my friend Alastair, but he's from Edinburgh. So also now 100% at home in Glasgow, we decide to take the device and skip the pub. Inside the stadium, we encounter a fan in the loudest tartan suit I've ever seen, including a tiny tartan cloth bag. I posed for a photo with him and Nate tells me I had it tailor-made, son. It fits me like a glove. It is not just COVID regulation that make this unique and peculiar tournament. Tournament. European tournament. A European tournament. English, national football team are symbol of the nation, but that is not a straightforward task at a time when national identity is so fiercely contested. For Scotland, the pressing issue is independence. For England, it is race. English football team has decided to take the knee before matches as a protest against racism. But each time they do it, they are booed by a significant section of their own supporters. Even the government seems uncertain about how to respond. After hesitating for a while, Boris Johnson, Prime Minister, condemned the booing and urged fans to get behind the team. But two members of his cabinet, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Priti Patel, defended the protest, with Rees-Mogg suggesting that the protesters are not expressing racism but condemning the Marxist of Black Lives Matter movement. Patel, a burdensome secretary, has accused the player of indulging in gesture in politics. Players from the England team, whose pre-game press conferences are normally confined to discussing tactics, injuries, and the atmosphere inside the camp, now being asked to react home secretary. It would be natural to assume that cabinet ministers are better at politics than footballers, but the Johnson government has reason to be worried of the clashing with the England team. Last year, it went down to an enormous defeat when it took on Marcus Rashford over the extension of free school meal for poor families. Manchester United and England forward mobilized a million signatures behind the petition and forced the Johnson government to change tack. The 23-year-old Rashford preparation for Euro 2020 defended fans who visiting team that staying the Hungarian citizen no. Uh, Manchester United mobilized a million signatures behind the petition and forced the Johnson government to change tack. None are willing to take him in public. The culture wars over football are not just happening in Britain. The multiracial Balkan team took the knee in Russia in ahead of their opening game. They were also booed by the crowd. Doubtless the Russians also protested against Marxism. Viktor Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, one of the host nations for Euro 2020, defended fans who visiting team that saying the Hungarians see the gesture as a provocation. Orban is himself a right-wing provocateur who has become a hero to the Trumpist right in America by issuing frequent warning about the elder dangers Europe being flooded by Muslims. Non-flooded by Muslims. The culture even some moderate conservatives are uncomfortable about footballers taking the knee. One prominent Tory thinker in Britain laments to me that football used to be a political space, but now the national team become a source of division. I can see what it means. This year's tournament inevitably brings back memories of Euro 96, Euro 2020. You can see what I mean. This year tournament it never really brings back memories of Euro '96 when England were mobilized. When England also played their games at Wembley, and the whole country did seem to get behind the team in an uncomplicated sort of way. Back then, packed the stadium all joined in the singing of the Lions. Football's coming home. Now the stadiums are largely empty, and some of the home crowds are actually bring the players. But as somebody who has been to many England games over the years, I know that the idea team I know that the idea the team I know that the team was never mixed up with politics or race is an illusion. England games have always attracted a substantial number of solid hooligan far-right supporters whose trademark chant is no surrender to RA. At the last European Football Championship in France in 2016, the ugly tradition of English football hooliganism re-emerged. When I remarked to another fan that I hadn't particularly enjoyed being caught up in a real riot outside a bar in Marseille, I was told curtly, "If you don't like it, you should stay at home and watch the game on television." Football ground in the 1970s where also I saw the most over racism that I ever witnessed in Britain. It was routine to see black players spark Bibles and monkey noises. The football authorities and commentators were silent about this for many years, so if the current national side felt they want to make a statement about racism, it is hard to accuse them of bringing place into a political space. But now the national team has become a source of division. I can see what it means this year's tournament inevitably brings back to bring on particularly the racial politics have always been there. The identity issues are rather different for Scotland. For 2020 comes as the Scottish Government is ramping up demand for a second independent referendum. This is the first major international tournament the team has qualified for since 1998, neatly fitting the narrative of national revival. Arriving in Scotland for the first game of the tournament, I find the local paper full of optimism. In recognition of the enormity of the occasion, the Scottish Government has even allowed schools to start lessons to allow the kids to watch the game again text live. As a visiting English fan, I wonder how I feel about all this. I grew up supporting Scotland in big international tournaments. I had little option since England failed to qualify for the World Cup in 1974 and 1978. But British identity was less complicated back then. The anthem play for the Scotland side that lined up to play Brazil in 1974 was God Save the Queen, although to recording on the show, the Scottish player looking particularly delighted. particularly delighted. Today the crowd and team will be belting out Flower Scotland Flower, Flower Scotland with a stern word that we can still rise now and be the nation again. When Scotland qualified for the World Cup in 1973, there were more than 90,000 people inside Hampden. But today, thanks to COVID, it's a little over 9,000. Far from the joyous return to the big time that has been advertised, it feels pretty blank and lonely in the stand. Even if the Tartan army has been reduced to little more than a couple of battalions, they built up Flower Scotland, loud enough drown out conversation. But teams start the game with all the expected passion and teamwork. Their captain Neil Burson can be seen gesturing to his player to calm down, then the tech score and the air is sucked out of the stadium. At that point, tears spend the cooling next to the hand dryer, the warmest spot in Hampden. There is hopeful terror around the window that Scotland might be able to turn this round. But early in the second half, the pupil history is made by the tech. The tactic shift was team center forward, left the ball in half the line and crossed forward without goal to Preston and we covered the ball 3 rows and never to elevate. The foul is now more than required, another line from the other side of the stadium, and a group of children running quickly happily shouting for power. While the other around them was holding. After the match, Alastair reminds me that Scottish fan I used to be better disappointment. Making the national football team a symbol of nation is double-edged sword. We imagine them scoring wonderful goals and celebrating the fun. But what if the goalkeeper who wandering along is like entangled in the net? The 2020 has already delivered humbling setback for two football malpractice leaders. populist leader. Orban gave permission for capacity crowd to attend Hungary's opening game in Budapest against Portugal, only to see the nation side lose 3-0. This separated the president of Turkey traveled to Azerbaijan and sat in a place next to the Azerbaijan from where he was able to see Turkey go down to a 2-0 defeat against Wales, while the 2-2 against Wales. England fans also have a habit disappointing their most ardent fan. The side often portrays as the embodiment of what we like to believe are national characteristics: courage, calmness under pressure. In fact, as a recent piece by Joanna Lear in The Guardian pointed out, England are uniquely bad at holding a lead in a tournament. The numbers seem to suggest they might even be battler. And that all helps the French and Italians are much better at holding their nerve when they take a lead. If Gareth Southgate, the England manager, can somehow break this cycle and turn England into a winning outfit, he will inadvertently provide a huge boost to a Johnson government that is desperate for symbol of the success of Brexit Britain. But Southgate has subtly but unmistakably positioned himself to the left of the government on taking the knee. He leads a multiracial team and has continually defended the right to make statements on subjects other than football. It has become accepted wisdom in Britain that culture wars always work better for the right than the left. But football may be an exception. A poll taken across Europe before Euro 2020 showed 54% of English football fans supported taking the knee, with 39% opposed. If the England team keep winning, the number in favor may rise along with the team's popularity. But once the right may find itself on the wrong end of a culture war for the duration of Euro 2020, I will care much less about who wins the culture war than who wins the tournament. For Scotland, Euro 2020 began with a deflating defeat. The England team disappointed their fans almost as reliably as the Scots, so slightly later in the day. On the other hand, this is a real tournament. It's taking place in the middle of a pandemic. The stadiums are quarter full and England are playing half decently. I am allowing myself to hope for the weirdest outcome of the lot, an England victory.